Guys, what an incredible adventure I got to go on. I got to fly out to California and spend 2 days riding Honda's newest bike to the US, the NT1100 DCT. But yeah, it was exciting, it was fun, it was intimidating, it was a lot of things all together, but I'm really glad I did it, and I can't thank Chase enough for giving me the opportunity to go out there and cover this event. I don't know if it was just he was busy with some other things. Obviously, he has other people that he can go to for these events. Maybe they were busy, or what I'm going to say is, with Honda bringing in a dad bike, he had to look at the dad bike guy. So the other riders that were out there at this event, so much more experience. They've ridden bikes faster on tracks and everything else, and I was kind of more of just the everyday rider that was there. So I was way back in the pack, and that was a little frustrating, a little discouraging at times, until I realized that's okay. I'm going to be me. I'd rather just get to that stop sign down at the end of the road 30 seconds later than get plastered on the side of a canyon wall. But regardless, it was a great experience for my first time.
That's what she said.
Maybe there's opportunity in the future to do it again. I don't know. We'll see how this other video is. But if you haven't checked it out over on Chase on Two Wheels, check out the Honda NT1100 DCT press launch or media ride, whatever you want to call it, that they took us on. And there was probably a lot of things in that review that I missed. When I was off the bike, I had time to look at a checklist and say, oh, I got to film the intro. Cool, let me film the outro. Let me get the cinematics. I'll get the front shot. And I had a checklist of things to do when I was off the bike, when I had time to breathe. But then we were getting on the bike, and then we'd stop for a photo shoot. But then we'd have to do the photo shoot, and then we were gone again. And I was trying to organize my thoughts, but I'm sure it was a lot of rambling. I'm sure I missed certain details that maybe some of you all were looking forward to, but it was just the nerves. I don't have that mental checklist hard-coded in me yet, and I hope I didn't let Chase down. Hopefully it's a good video and informative and maybe just a little bit entertaining, which is more challenging for me. I've always been a kind of behind-the-scenes guy, a facilitator just to help get things done, and being on camera is more of a challenge for me, and I'm trying to get better at that. But this was a great opportunity to do that. Hopefully I've leveled up a little bit. I can look back on how this went, how the video turned out, and kind of make mental notes and corrections, and so that in the future, if I do something like this again, I'll be a little better equipped to do better. But still, super grateful for the opportunity. Chase, thanks so much. Honda, everybody at Honda was great. Ryan, Bradley, Corey, Chris, Danny, all you guys were great as far as planning the ride, getting us signed up, making sure we had the information, our hotel accommodations, taking care of meals, gassing up the bikes, keeping them clean, just making sure we were taken care of. I mean, Honda did an amazing job, and it was just awesome to be a part of it, and I was grateful to be a part of that. But they made the experience like just super awesome. When I got there, I don't know what to expect. They're going to give us some information on the bike, and then we just loaded up and we just went. So I didn't even really have a ton of time to familiarize myself with the bike. I didn't know how the DCT worked because I had ridden it before on the NC750 and the Africa Twin previously on some demo rides. So I knew about that, but I didn't really do a whole lot with cycling through the ride modes, and I didn't figure out the heated grips right away, and so all that stuff kind of came a little bit later as I went, which there were a lot of buttons on that left side of the NT1100, but it's not a bad thing, but it's just you have to go figure it out. So if you own that bike, you'd figure it out, it'd be fine. But at first it was like, okay, well this has a lot of features, which is great, but it's also you have to learn about all the features. So we started the journey, and we got on the road. I got pretty comfortable pretty quickly on the bike, realizing how comfortable it was, and realizing that okay, I'm settling into using the DCT gearbox. I did a little bit of the manual transmission, but then I just found myself going back to the automatic because it was very intuitive. The DCT on this thing has evolved quite a bit. I mean, from 2010, I believe it was, that they first put a DCT in the VFR, I think it is. We're now 15 years later into evolution of it and research and design. And you know, the early feedback was it's harder to do the slow speed stuff because you don't have that clutch lever to feather. So they fine-tuned the throttle interactions with that. Some more recent feedback was we don't want this shifting gears while we're leaned over in a turn. It's just a little disruptive when you feel that, you know, you feel that thing shift. And riders didn't like that. So they refined it a little bit. And on this particular bike, they used the 6-axis IMU to factor in your lean angle and your speed and whether you're going uphill or downhill, and factor that into the gearbox of whether it's going to change for you or not. And if you're leaned over in a turn at speed, it's going to be like, let's leave them alone a little bit. But even still, this gearbox and this transmission and the way the two clutches, that's why it's a dual clutch, the way the two clutches interacted, the only way I knew that the bike shifted gears was because I saw the number change on the dash or I heard the engine revs change a little bit. I never really felt the bike, you know, jerk or move or have any type of anything when it shifted. You know, normally when you manually shift gears, you have a little, you know, I'm exaggerating for the camera, but you feel it like that little drop in power and then go again. This thing, it didn't do that. It just would go and it would shift and the engine would drop its rev when you're shifting up and match it appropriately, but it did it so smoothly. If you'd have plugged my ears and closed my eyes and I was just riding on it, I wouldn't have known when the gear shifts were happening. That's how much this DCT has evolved in just this last year or two. So if you've not ridden a DCT motorcycle from Honda, but you're interested, please check it out. Or if it's been a couple years, check out the revisions with it factoring in this 6-axis IMU. It's a big step forward. Now, I know the DCT is not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. But if you don't like it, I have no idea why you're even watching videos about it. You know, it's just, I mean, what kind of just lame individual would go watch content on something that they don't like to negatively comment on that? I mean, no decent human being would ever do that, right? So anyway, the biggest thing about this bike though that it's going for it is there's so much bang for the buck. You're getting an 1100cc engine, powerful enough to take you across the country, powerful enough to have some sporty riding. It is not a super sport. It's just a parallel twin. It's enough for you to have some fun on. You've got a really comfortable seat. You've got wind protection. The windscreen could be a little bit better, but you've got wind protection to go many miles. You got heated grips. You got a 6-axis IMU for cornering ABS. You've got traction control. You've got 5 different ride modes, 3 presets, and then 2 user configurations. You've got 4 different modes for the automatic transmission from drive and then sport 1, 2, and 3. Which, sidebar on that, I wonder why they didn't just go with like 4 distinct names for the transmission modes. So it's drive and then sport, and then you can change sport to 1, 2, and 3. It seems like it would be like drive would be eco mode, because if you're in drive mode, this thing shifts through the gears really quick. I mean, you're going through a city 36 miles an hour and you're in 6th gear, and sometimes it feels like it's lugging along. But that's kind of going back to the Honda efficiency, practicality, and ease of use. I think they should just call that eco mode. But when you go up to sport, it's going to hang on to the gears a little bit longer. It's going to deliver you that power you need to get up to speed. It's going to downshift when you're going down a hill and apply some engine braking. So I found myself hanging around Sport 2. So it goes drive Sport 1 is a little sporty, Sport 2 is kind of that medium, and then Sport 3 is the most aggressive. I found myself hanging around in Sport 2 and in the automatic mode. I never felt like I was in the wrong gear. It was just such an awesome machine. It was very, very easy to ride. I mean, so all that being said, it's not a perfect bike. There were some issues, like I mentioned, with the windscreen. Putting the windscreen all the way up actually caused more turbulence and buffeting with me on the highway than when it was down. So it has like 5 different settings, I believe, and so 5 was terrible. Around 2 or 3 is kind of what I liked for me. But there is still a lot of wind protection there. It's got a big fairing. It has wind deflectors down by your legs. So that's going to keep the weather and wind off of you to reduce fatigue over a lot of miles. So great feature on a bike for touring. Heated grips, cruise control, and a very comfortable seat. Oh, the seat was great. You've got, like I said, all these rider modes. All this bang for the buck. For the price, just under $12,000, which is amazing. Now, you go to a dealer, there's going to be all the fees and stuff and whatever. But when we compare MSRPs from the Honda NT1100 DCT, and you look at some of the competitors, you're looking at Yamaha's Tracer 9 GT, Kawasaki Versys 1100 now. I have the 1000. Suzuki GSX S1000 GT or the GX. Both of those are sport touring. One's more sporty. And like I said, Triumph Tiger, both the 900 and the 1200 would kind of be comparable in this range. Now, you look at all those bikes, I think all of those competitors or in this class are going to be a little bit more sporty than the NT1100. So while it's classified as a sport touring bike, it's more of a sport touring bike, and it is that mid-size light touring bike that can bridge the gap to the Goldwing. Because before, Honda's touring lineup was the Goldwing, and that's kind of it. You know, they had the Rebel 1100T for touring. That wasn't really a good touring bike. And what they actually found was people were getting the NC750X as kind of a sport touring machine, which is a great commuter, great weekend bike, but it lacked some of those key features to really make it a long distance touring machine, like cruise control, heated grips. The wind protection was there, but it was more adventure bike style rather than touring bike style. So you're still going to have room to want more if that was your touring bike. But again, not everybody has $26,000, $27,000 to go spend on a Goldwing. So a bike that has a lot of these creature comforts, some electronic package in it, all for $12,000, you're getting a whole lot of bang for the buck. It does have a screen for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. That seemed a little clunky, and I couldn't ever get it to work right with Android, and I think on our group ride, only one other person got the Apple CarPlay to work correctly, so that seems to be a bit lacking. Maybe they just need a software patch to get that up and running, but that's something that does make sense on a touring bike, so you can see your maps and listen to your music, just enjoy the ride and take in where you're going. I hope Honda can iron out those kinks, or maybe if I just needed more time to figure it out. So the more tech savvy among us, you may just figure that out pretty quickly. All in all, a great machine. You know, if I didn't have my Versys 1000 right now and I was still on my 650, I would definitely be considering this as an upgrade option. I commute to work in Atlanta. There's traffic, and the DCT would be absolutely wonderful for that. Stop and go traffic. Oh man, sometimes I get to work and my left hand pulling that clutch lever is just so worn out. I wouldn't have had that with this. Touring around the mountains and in the twisties, I never had to think about, do I need to downshift? Do I need to upshift? Should I feather the clutch? Do I need to downshift and give more throttle, or whatever it was? I didn't have to worry about that. If I wanted to go faster, I just twisted the throttle more. When I wanted to slow down, I just rolled off, hit a little brake, and the bike handled every road we threw at it perfectly. I mean, the bike is way more capable than I am. I didn't get to push it to the limit. Some of these other guys definitely did. Great for them. but I was more of the regular user and the real world user than these super bike riding fiends from all these other publications. But I had a great time, and it is a great machine, and I would say if you wanted to go buy one of these, I would back you up 100% on that. Again, I know it's not for everybody. A lot of people are kind of turned off by the DCT, but there are other options out there to look at, other great options. The Tracer, the Versus, the Tiger. Oh my. Anyway, that was just a little bit about the bike, but I also want to tell about that experience, and it was so cool to go on. I do hope I get another opportunity to do that in the future, and I definitely want to do better on that ride. Now, having gone through that experience of knowing what to expect, kind of seeing what video I did come back with, and recognizing of, oh, that was pretty good, I missed the mark there, I should have done this. And also just coming into it with the nerves a little bit more calm, because I've been here before. I think it'll be better. I mean, it would have to be. But I hope it's good enough. I hope it's a little bit informative, a little bit of entertaining. And so again, if y'all want to go over and check out the video over on Chase's channel, and go tag me in the comments. If you have a question, tag me in the comments. Maybe if it's something I didn't cover in the video, drop the question. I'll see if I have an answer for it, or think back to what I experienced with the bike to answer it. Or if you just want to say, hey Chase, send Ghost to more so he gets better. Or because I did a great job too. Whatever. But thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video and any of my others. Just want to promote Two Wheels. Thanks again for checking it out. Let me know what you think about the NT1100. Stay positive with it though. If it's not your cup of tea, again, fine. And I don't know why people say cup of tea. If it's not your bowl of cereal, what else can we say? If it's not your crayon in the box, I don't know. We're going off the rails. Anyway, thanks again for taking some time. Smash that like button. Help me out. And y'all go ride safe, ride smart, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.